Hi, my name's Mike Hubbard. I'm with Acro Media. Um, just wanted to go over the new version of the Commerce Point of Sale module that's it was just fully released for the Drupal 8 version of Commerce. We have it installed into our Urban Hipster Drupal Commerce demo site, um, and so I thought I'd quickly just take a few moments and just show you some of the features and functionality of it. So when you first install the module, Um, it adds a few new menu items. So you've got the Commerce Point of Sale. This is where you'd access your main tools for Point of Sale. Then you also have your configuration Point of Sale, which is all the configuration or most of the configuration for the module. Um, one thing that we have here with Commerce is the ability to do barcode scanning. And so the way that works is for your barcode scanner to work, it needs to find a UPC code. So when the module is installed, there's a new field created called the UPC field. So you add that to your product variations and enter your UPC code for each product variation. And then once that's done, then that becomes a searchable field that our barcode or that your barcode scanner can then find. Um, this module also relies on the search API. So Drupal's default um, database search um, only really searches for product titles, so it's not really that useful. Whereas with the search API, you can define specific data fields that are searchable. So you can have your product fields, your SKU. You can search by things like colors. Um, the UPC in this case is a big one. Allows you to search by UPC code, and whatever else. It's fully configurable, so you can set it up to search for anything. So what we're looking at here is we have our main product server and index, search index. That's just for our main product pages. Like so, if I go to one of these product catalogs are actually search indexes via the search API. So now we also have included a second server and index specifically for the point of sale. So if I go now, just kind of go back to what I was talking about with features and whatnot. So under configuration, point of sale, so we have our currency denominations. This allows you to specify what currency denominations your cashiers would accept. So going into this, we have US dollars is installed by default. And editing that, we can see that we have penny, nickel, dime, quarter, $1, 5, 10, 20, 50, and $100. So these are all of the bills and the change, the physical currency that you would expect to get. That's all configured under currency denominations. Then we have barcode scanning. So a standalone like USB enabled barcode scanner, you can plug that in and it'll automatically just scan. This particular menu, barcode scanner, this menu for the barcode scanner is actually specific to a camera-based scanner. So instead of using a standalone scanner, you could potentially use your webcam, your phone's camera, your tablet camera, any of those uh, like actual optical cameras for scanning barcodes. So these are settings for that, just whether or not it's open to cashiers by default, what happens after you scan, whether it stays open or whether it closes, and then the delay before you can scan again. So in this case, it defaults to a second. So after you scan, it'd be a second before it'd let you scan another item. So these are the settings for that. I'll show you an example of that in a moment. So next, going back to our configuration. So then we have our point of sale main configuration. So here you can set your default payment gateways. When the module is installed, it'll add cash, credit, debit, and gift card payment gateways, which it then uses. So here you can set which one is the default. You can also add additional payment gateways if you need to, but these are kind of the defaults. So you can set, if you only accept cash, then you can set cash as your default payment gateway, just so that it's always selected right away. Your product search, this is where you set which Solr or which search API index server and index you're using for your product search for your point of sale. We just happen to be using Solr, so that's why I've named it Solr. And then order lookup, so how many results come back. So if you just search by shoe, but you have a ton of different shoe products, then how many results are going to come back before it just cuts them off. So it defaults to 10. So next we have, oh man. All right, next we have receipt configuration. The point of sale module can send email receipts. You can also print receipts if you have a receipt printer hooked up to your terminal. So here, this allows you to customize the header and footer text or content of those receipts. So here, and it's just using just a basic WYSIWYG editor, so it's really simple and easy to use. So here we have an image, our store location and contact information in the header, and then in the footer we have a thank you message, return policy, exchange policy, and a little blurb for our website. But all of this stuff is fully configurable and easy to change. Then we have customer display. So as a cashier, you're going to be looking at your screen, adding products in, but your customer doesn't see that. So we also have a customer display screen that is accessible just via any web browser. And so that allows you to have a separate monitor or a separate device. It could even be like an iPad, could be a TV, it doesn't really matter as long as it has a browser. It allows you to point that device towards your customers. And so your cashier is looking at one screen ringing in products, and your cashier or your customers are then looking at a different screen and seeing the products rung in, and the price is updating and everything as your cashier is ringing in the products. And that allows your customers to see if there's any mistakes or something that they weren't expecting before they actually have to pay. I'll show you an example of that in a moment. In the settings here, the way that works is it uses a PHP WebSocket. And a WebSocket just kind of allows an open line of communication between the commerce point of sale, cashier screen, and then this customer facing screen, so that information can transfer quickly back and forth. So it basically allows for close to instant transfer of information. So right when you ring in a product, it's almost instantly displayed on the customer facing screen. I won't get into how to actually configure that and set that up. You can check out the README file for the module if you're interested in setting that up and you're using it. But this is where in the settings for the module where you specify where the host is for that WebSocket and some additional information to get it working. And lastly, we've got our registers. So with default commerce module, you can have multiple stores. So you can have your online store, and you can have as many online stores plus physical stores. You just make your stores. And then when you're adding products and those types of things, you can choose which store that this product is assigned to. So whether it's assigned to all stores, or maybe it's only available online or only available in one of your physical locations, you can do that with your stores or with your products. Registers act in a similar way. So these would be your tills. So here we have an example of a store, a commerce store that we have that's downtown Chicago. And we're pretending we have 2 registers assigned to that store. So if you had multiple stores, you might have like, a Los Angeles location, maybe Texas location, all over the country. And so you can have separate registers assigned to separate stores, which just allows just for, well, you need it, I guess, for your accounting and stuff. So when your cashiers log in, they pick the register that they're logging into, and then they work from that register. So this is where you can configure that. So now getting into actually using the module. So there's 2 different ways to access it. As an admin, since I'm logged in already, I can just go to Commerce, Point of Sale, and Point of Sale, and that would bring me to the cashier screen. There's also a cashier login page, which let me just copy that link and open up an incognito window. So your cashiers more than likely would actually first see this screen. So they would go to this URL, they would see this screen, and then they'd be able to enter in their username and password and log in. And that's how your cashiers would log into the system. That would bring us to this page where we would first select which register we're opening. So we'll just say front counter. We also have an opening float that we can enter. So open register. So now we're brought to the actual point of sale, like the cashier screen. In this gray space, normally you would see like whatever your webcam is showing. But I'm using the webcam for the video, for this video, so it doesn't allow me to use it twice, obviously. But normally you would see the webcam picture in this gray box, and you can hold up a barcode into the view of the camera, and it'll read it using a nice little JavaScript library that we've included. Here's an example of that, actually, of Sean, our CTO, prototyping it and using it. So you can see that it recognizes that barcode and it scans it. And so that's how you can use a camera-based barcode scanning. I have noticed that some cameras, if they don't focus close, it can be difficult to get a scan. So your choice of webcam does make a difference on how well this type of barcode scanning works. Just something to know. My particular webcam doesn't focus close very well, so it's hard for it to actually get a scan, the camera that I'm using right now. But it's a per camera basis how well it'll actually work. All right, so what would happen is that when you scan a product, it would enter the UPC code in here, and because this is your search, this is your search API search field, it would come back with whatever product matches that UPC code and add it to your cart. So I can also search by title. So mug, there's a couple of results with mug in the title. You can search for SKU, HC-fuel mug. So that's bringing back a product. So however you configure your search API is what will allow you to search what data you can search for here. So I'll add a product here. Let's add a tank top. So there we go. So now we've added a product. Thinking about the customer facing screen. So this is what our cashier sees as we add products. Let's add another product here. Let's have an axe. There we go. So now we have 2 products. The customer facing screen, like I said, is just accessible via our browser. So I'll open it up in a new window here, customer display. So let me just refresh my screen here. It should, let's see here. There we go. So just had to update it. So normally you'd open up your customer display. before you run in any products. So this is kind of what your customer would see here. So we have the location of the store, or the location of the register, which register is being used, the cashier that's ringing the products through. Next, we have our display of what products have been added to the cart. This is something that can be configured in the, I believe it's in the view settings for the, it's either the product type or the order type, I can't remember, but it's configurable. On the right-hand side, it gives us a summary of our order, so the subtotal, any discounts that have been applied. Commerce point of sale module is just built on top of the existing commerce module and architecture. It doesn't change anything within commerce, it just adds to commerce. And so we can use the existing commerce promotions module to work with our point of sale. We can set it so that a sale only works on online products versus offline products, or the other way around, doesn't really matter. In this case, we have a sale that's taking 20% off of everything automatically. It's just a store-wide sale. So we're seeing that reflected here in this part of the screen. So it gives us our taxes and our and then our overall total that needs to be paid. So the subtotal minus the discount plus taxes gives us that. And then ultimately what the customer is interested in here is what they have to pay. So let me just kind of show you how this screen updates. If I add another product, so let's add one of those mugs. So products added. If I go back to the screen, that mug has been added here already. If I update the quantity, say maybe we want, customer wants 4 or has purchased 4 of these. There we go. Oh, I meant to do the mug, but I accidentally did the t-shirt. Anyway, so here we've got a quantity of 4 now for this t-shirt at a price of 25 each. So here's our total for that product. And our overall total is $120 minus our discounts plus our tax. So now we've got this. So in real time, your customer can see, what they need to pay. So moving on here, our cashiers are seeing the same totals displayed on their screen, but they have some options, some additional options here. If you have existing customers and they're an existing customer, you can search for their email address or their customer, their username, or any of that kind of stuff, and you can set the customer to this order. And this is nice because it allows them to then log on to your site online, and they can still see their physical point of sale store purchases, like their history there as well. You can also add new customers. So this will create an account for them, but just a basic account, just using their email. And it'll also send them, if you want, you can send them in the email the receipt. I'll just assign this to our existing customer here. Next, you have additional adjustments. You can see that we have a promotion applied. This is the promotion here. You could potentially add other adjustments. If there's additional fees or additional promotions or whatever that you want to apply, you can add that here. You also have the option to add in coupons. If somebody comes in with a coupon, you just search for the coupon code here and select whatever one you want to use. Then we have the option to void this order. If customer changes their mind, they don't want it, you can void the order altogether. You can also park the order if maybe they forgot their wallet or they want to run back and grab another item. You can park this order, which I'll show you here. So just click that. Parks the order, tells us order 54 has been parked. If I scroll down, there's no products added because now we're starting a new transaction, a new order. But if we want to then search for that parked order, Up at the top of the screen here, we've got our order lookup, which allows you to find already existing placed orders, for doing returns and things like that. Or there's parked orders here. So let me go to that. It shows us that order that we just parked. I can retrieve it. And there, now we're back to our order. So now that's been retrieved, we can say, okay, that person wanted to add, maybe they wanted to add an axe. Maybe they're going camping. Here we go. So we've added that axe that they brought up to us. So now we want to pay. So we go pay now. So here's a payment terminal screen. Say this person wanted to add, they had a little bit of cash they wanted to give us. So they gave us maybe $200 in cash. We can add that payment. So that shows us the payment here. We can void that payment. If they change their mind or whatever, it shows us as void. Let's add it again here, 200. There we go. We've added the payment again. So now we want to finish the rest of the payment on credit. So there's still, we can see here, 125.8 left to pay. So 125.08. So once that transaction has gone through your payment terminal, we can add that payment. And there we go. So we've paid. Total to pay is 0. There's no change required. So now we're ready to go. So now we already have the option to print a receipt, email a receipt, do both, or no receipts. Say this customer wanted the receipt emailed to them. We can just select that, and then we can complete the order. And that's it. So now we've moved on. That order is now finished. Customer leaves. Next order comes through, and we can start ringing in the next person. So that's kind of what your customer would do. So now at the end of the day, when it's time for them to close their register, they go up here, close register. You can see the date, which register they've been using, and then our declared amounts. So I'll just go through, and most of these we did not use, except for credit. We had $125.08 on credit, and we accepted $300 in cash. So our 200 with our float is 300. So that's what we should have in our till. And we can close the register and save. So there we go. That register has now been closed. So additional things that we can see here as part of this module. If we go to the front, like the main admin area for the point of sale module, we have print labels. So if you have a label printer, and say we want to print, say we just got in a bunch of mugs, let's just keep using mugs as an example. We can add that. We've got the label format that we want. You can additionally add more formats, but this is just one for an example. Say we got 20 mugs in, so we need to print 20 labels. Just add the quantity in. We've got our title, our description. Set these up however you want. And then if our label printer is configured and ready to go, we can just hit print and it'll print out all of our labels. Also, we have our reports. So you can go in and view end of day reports as an administrator. So as you can go back in history. Basically, you see the same screen as when you're closing your register. You see that same screen, and you see the totals that have accumulated over each of those days per register. So you can check out that there. The cashier login, this is just a link to that cashier login screen that I showed you earlier. And then your customer display, this is just a link to open up the customer display screen that I also showed you earlier. And that's pretty much it. That's the Commerce Point of Sale module as it stands right now in the Commerce Plus demo. Really easy to get up and running, really easy to use. We've got more features planned. And so if you want to follow progress, you can go to drupal.org/project/commerce_point of sale or POS. That'll bring you to this page, which is where you can get the module. It's free to use if you can install it. So there you go. You can get it. You can also see whatever issues are open. You can post issues if you found a bug. But this will be the place to see when it updates and all of the new features and whatnot get added. All right, thank you very much, and that's been a demo on the Commerce point of sale.